Stephen, thank you so much for being on the show tonight.
Oh, it's a pleasure to be here, Michael. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you. But I think I'm doing better than Theodore Edgecomb, I'll be honest with you, because I'm not sure he did so well today. First and foremost, I want to get your thoughts on how he did on the stand today.
Well, I think he was very well prepared. So I think his team put forth a good effort preparing him for testimony. I think he was prepared to give the necessary testimony while going down the pattern of what the defense expects to argue to the closing argument.
He did that, but did he come off as too prepared? I thought there were a number of phrases he used regularly that didn't seem like normal person speak, seemed like lawyers speak. They went into all this context, and I was sitting there listening, rolling my eyes about, the slavery and all this other business. And then, he's talking about Arbery, he's talking about Floyd, that's claiming that this is what was going through his mind in an incredibly high stress situation. Some of it just didn't ring true with me. And I want to know if you think, first of all, if you agree with me. And second of all, if you do, what effect that might have on this jury?
Well, that's a good question. I mean, the jury has to determine his demeanor. And I think what they're doing is they're arguing what's going to be in the jury instructions. Was this something that was proliferated by race? And his state of mind is certainly relevant to how he acted. So I think what the defense is doing is trying to make sure they have ample ammunition to argue the case properly to the jury. It's always hard when a criminal defendant takes a stand because, they say, look, everything is on the line here. So it's a stressful situation. And I think what the defense is doing is trying to give themselves enough ammunition to argue that he was acting in self-defense or that, in fact, he was the victim and not the antagonizer.
Well, they almost lost their case because I understand exactly what you're saying. But at one point, Theodore Edgecomb says that his shooting of the gun was an accident. And that is a completely different case than a self-defense case. A self-defense case is that you're under threat, you believe you're under threat, you shoot because you had to, right? But suddenly he's saying the gun went off accidentally. It even led the prosecution to ask the judge not to give a self-defense instruction because he's claiming it's accident. I don't think that's going to happen. The judge didn't rule, but there's enough evidence there to support a self-defense charge. But your thoughts on that misstep?
Well, I know as a defense lawyer, you try to give yourself enough ammunition to argue any which way. If it wasn't an accident, then did he have enough time to formulate some sort of intention to commit a crime here? I think the issue really, David, is that the point is that under the law, he has to reasonably have exhausted every other reasonable means of escape. And I think the defense got themselves in a pinch here. But, as a defense, you don't have to put forth the evidence. You just have to put forth a reasonable doubt. So any of those theories, any alternative theory that the jury feels is reasonable could amount to a not guilty verdict.
Absolutely. But I will say Wisconsin is a stand your ground state. You do not have to look for other means of escape. You are allowed to stand there and stand your ground and take whatever action you believe is reasonable and necessary. And then it's up to a jury to decide if it was reasonable in terms of the community. All right, stand by, Stephen. We're going to take a break right now. When we come back, new details in the case of missing little girl Harmony Montgomery. Investigators zero in on the time frame that they think she went missing. And then later in our Talk Back segment, did Theodore Edgecomb support his self-defense claim with his testimony today? Let us know what you think, and we'll share some of your comments later on in the show. Keep it right here on Court TV.